Some of the country's most popular shows, including Skeem Saam, Muvhango, Uzalo, Igazi, The Queen, and now The River, just to mention a few.
Well, Morning Live producer Ikgomotseng Segopolo caught up with him, and he first asked him about his childhood and love for reading. Let's take a look.
I come from a village. It's called Mamvuka in Njerere, which is part of Venda. And it's in Limpopo, so I grew up there most of my childhood. It was a good childhood. It was a good, happy childhood. I had parents that were very passionate about education. And I think one of my greatest joy was reading. So I loved story in essence. I didn't know what the career was. And even in high school, I think the passion for storytelling and the passion for story just grew, and I was fascinated by television. I loved television as a medium. I loved, and remember the soapies then were just starting in South Africa. So I was one of those soapy junkies that watched every single one of.
What is your favorite?
Like so many black South Africans, it was Generations.
Okay.
It was at the height of its, its peak. It was this juggernaut that we all loved and adored, and we couldn't get enough of.
And let's talk about your professional career now.
Yes.
When did the industry open for you?
I think it's a very interesting journey in that when I was doing my third year, I started contacting every soap that was on air, every production company that was on air then, wanting to write a test script, wanting to see if they can like my work, and I, all the soaps that were there in the early 2000s, that was probably still on air. Trust me, I had harassed the head writers, all of them, probably every soap that's still on SABC right now, I'd harassed them. And at some point, I reached out to Muvhango, and I said I wanted to do a test script, and then I sent a test script, and they loved it. And I joined the show. I was there for, I think, 9 years. Loved the show. I started as a junior writer, grew up within the show. I think by the time I left, I was head of story.
Let's talk about your productions that you've worked on, and I think The River is, I think it could be something that's close to your heart, because I think it's the first production that you've executively produced.
Yes.
Yeah, talk to us about that.
Wow, I think The River has been a joy. It's been a joy, it's been a learning curve, it's been a challenge. Because when you are just a writer and a head writer of other shows, you are really not responsible, and you are really not the one on the firing line of everything that happens in a production. Now, when you are then executive producing and head writing the show, you suddenly realize that every single creative decision and business decision somehow rests with you. And I'm lucky in that at Chedza is the two of us, so Guido and I can share the load.
The people that you've worked with that have had an influence in you becoming part to the screenwriter that you are, and now the executive producer of The River.
Oh, wow. I wrote in the beginning of my career, and I think in midway, I met Winnie Serita. She's the creator and executive producer of Skeem Saam. Till to this day, I've never met a better writer in this country than her. I think she's a master storyteller. And I learned so much because I had to work with her over time. She's one of those people that really taught me the art of storytelling. And really people that have also, again, shepherded my career to where it is today. I think Connie and Shona from Ferguson Films. Having worked with a lot of producers, I have never met such professional and really good executive producers that respect the art of writing.
People that you write for.
Yes.
Who are your core audience? Whose stories are you striving to tell, and how do you make sure that you tell them as authentic as possible?
I always say I write for the cashiers. I write for the petrol attendant. Those are my core audience. I write for the ordinary South African that takes a train to work. That television is their only form of entertainment. And you realize that through that vehicle, you gotta entertain and educate. And for me, those are really my core audience.
Who's your biggest critic? I mean, whose criticism do you value most?
My mother's my biggest critic, funny enough. So she never really comments on the stuff I write unless she really, really hates it or she really, really likes it. So I think in terms of handling criticism is that as much as you create content that is going to be consumed by the masses, you must be willing to embrace that criticism and praise go hand in hand. And the danger is whenever criticism is raised and you dismiss it.
Lala ngoxolo.